a lot of CEOs are not very well trained in terms of telling their story. So that's a challenge in itself, which is, yeah.
Well, Simon, give me an example of when you've worked with, because that is the hard part, right? Is making something newsworthy, because everybody thinks that their stuff is newsworthy, right? I mean, all of us are like, well, of course, everybody wants to know this. The reality is typically not like that. So give us a couple of examples of how you've worked with clients to help them find that unique thing that will cut through.
Yeah, I'll give you an example would be the London Stock Exchange Group that we've worked with, as I say, for 14 years. Their post-trade processing area, their clearinghouse, LCH, we've worked with them since the very beginning. And they, back in the early days, they were known as a back office, dusty, people in suits, hidden away in some cellar in London, very parochial type organization. But the world changed after the global financial crisis. The world changed, and they suddenly became more relevant. There was a mandate by global governments to introduce clearing, mandatory clearing in the financial markets, which suddenly made this Victorian type institution very relevant to the front office, to the people that were a little bit more sexy, more visible to the world. And so we worked with LCH in terms of like changing the persona and the perception of them in the industry. And we ultimately worked with them to come up with the idea of them really being about the people and the industry. So we spoke to and interviewed, I would guess, many tens of stakeholders with LCH, and worked with them for many months, if not a couple of years, to come up with the idea of them being the markets partner. And so we built the whole story around them being the markets partner, not just some back office service that occasionally people tap into, but on a level footing and working with the industry. So LCH has held numerous gatherings, meetings, get-togethers with the people that really matter. So in the early days, we used the media to help build their brand. But since then, LCH has worked very closely with its members and clients to really build a strong reputation in the industry. And we've worked behind the scenes with them on that for over a decade. So that's probably a good example of taking a client out of the shadows into the mainstream.
And did you use individuals within the organization, or did you try and position the company? Because I think this is a fundamental shift and change that's taken place in business as well.
It was primarily the company that we were trying to bring out of the shadows. There were a couple of visionaries there, and there are today, that were very important in driving that change. So they were incredibly important. But we got the whole company involved and the people involved, and I think that that's essential, because if you create a narrative, a story for a brand, and the team, the staff don't follow along with it and buy it and embrace it, it will fall to pieces. You will get salespeople going out there and telling different stories. No one's going to be telling a consistent story, and consistency of that narrative is really essential for it to be impactful.